This is Touch of Jazz. This is like our first, when we all first reached success. So this is all 6 of us over here. Andre Harris, Ivan Barrios, Keith Pelzer, Vidal Davis, and Darren Henson, and myself. So it's like the start of our career, you know, of who we were with Jazzy Jeff and the things that we did. So yeah, that's me. If you notice, this room right here is this is the B room in Jeff's studio, and the music was in the booth recording. But what I did was I took this room and made a whole copy of it in here. Okay. So I kind of like copied the whole, that feeling, that small closeness of feeling.
This is our first time meeting that we've met. Many people know you as a 2-time Grammy Award-winning producer. What artists have you worked with?
Well, I worked with Music Soul Child was my discovery. Jill Scott, Justin Timberlake, I'm bringing sexy back. Keisha Cole, Mary J. Blige, R. Kelly. Yeah. Jasmine, Rick Ross, Chrisette Michelle.
For those artists that you just mentioned, name some of the songs you also wrote along with them.
Okay, right now the Chrisette Michelle record that's out right now, Love Won't Leave Me Out. Wrote that record. I wrote Love for Music Soul Child, Don't Change, Half Crazy, Teach Me How to Love, Just Friends, Buddy.
The audience only see what's in front of the cameras, but you've been behind the scenes, working with the artists, the radio station, the labels, and how was that as well?
Again, it's behind the scenes. Everything is everything. You get to see everybody for who they are. Okay. Behind the scenes, no one has to put on. They never have to turn it on while they're in the studio. And even when we work with artists, like our philosophy is leave your ego at the door. Like checking in at the door, because we don't do egos and we don't do pride. We don't, like, it's about the music, it's about creating the music, it's about finding something great and finding a great moment and then maximizing it. So it's kind of normal, you know.
Did you see a lot of negative or anything happen negatively behind the scenes at all?
Well, for my sessions, we don't do that. Okay. Like we normally, for any artist we work with, we kind of vent them first. We do an interview process. We go investigate who they are, and then if they share the same feeling of the music and loving the music, then we work with them. And working with them, we still, like, these are the things. We don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't do none of that in our session. We come, we create good music, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. Do you think that there's a difference in the industry from what it was then to where it is now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, when you look at the industry then, there was a form of integrity. There was a form of esteem. There was a form of respect. It was a form of regard. So it was like you always regarded those who came before you. So even when Motown and Philadelphia International were separate, they still respect each other on every level. So it wasn't a form of, man, forget them and we doing our thing. It was like, yo, they're moving, let's move. It's like, it was all like a black movement. So every notch they went up, it was like, okay, we got to up the bar. But it was never a thing of bringing one down to rise up. And I think that now there's a loss of integrity, there's a loss of respect, there's a loss of even being respectful. So it's like an outside respect, and then there's the self-respect that's all lost. It's like finance. Everything is about finance right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you think radio music has changed on urban stations?
Wow, that's hard to tell. You know, I mean, I remember back in the day here in Philly, we had a hip hop would come on Sunday. Lady B had a hip hop show that would come on only on Sunday. And we would hear all the hip hop we wanted to hear, but it was clean, edited, actually we didn't even know they cursed in the records, like until later when you started buying your own records, you're like, oh, there's a curse word in this record. But it was like, the best thing was you could do a rap record without cursing in it. So when I think about music then, and then transcending to now and looking at what's being given and what's being produced and what's being created, now radio is more, they're more apt to go after music that is negative versus positive.
Okay.
So yeah.
Do you think,
answer your question.
Do you think that this is just against urban radio stations, or would you say it's all across all genres? For example, it used to be that heavy metal and hard rock, there's many other genres who put negative lyrics in their music, and they were also played on the radio.
Right. I think when you think about heavy metal, right, the lyrics that they put in there were not like she's a bee, she's a hoe. It was never degrading. Like everything that came from them was more anger, and it was frustration about something, but it was never like personally attacking the core of a human being. So it was more like you would get that when Guns N' Roses. They were very aggressive in their music, but it had something behind it. It was behind a mission. It was a point behind it. It wasn't just like, we're going to frivolously put a curse word right here. You know what? Let's just put curse words throughout the whole record. It's like when they said that, it's because there was a point that they had been driven to say that. Now our music, when you look at it, that's what's selling the record. Like the record ain't gonna sell if she ain't a B. Like the girl, the woman, that black queen, she has to be a B. She has to be a hoe. It got to be easy to get rid of her. Matter of fact, she's to the point that she's twerking and tricking, because it's about finances versus moral standards and character. So urban radio is definitely being affected. But even now here in the city, on Wired and then on Power 99, it's a Chris Brown record. Chris Brown record is Pull Your Panties to the Side, It'll Make You Feel Alright. Well, on Wired, which is like a top 40, they actually take the word panties out of the record. So when you take the word panties out of the record, you really take away the whole core of what the record is for children. When you introduce panties, you introduce an idea. Once you introduce an idea to a kid, they're going to be inquisitive and they're going to try that. What does pulling the panties to the side, how does that make her feel all right? So you might get a 12-year-old kid, take his 6-year-old niece, cousin, or whoever in the bathroom and pull her panties to the side. Because you just introduced the idea to him that he didn't even know existed. But when you take that word out, now you're not corrupting him, you're not introducing something to him. Because as a child, a blank space will just be, that's the way the record's made.
Okay. So do you think that there's a difference in censorship between pop station and urban stations?
Absolutely.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know why, but when you listen to it, you can hear the difference. I sat and I listened to a pop station, and literally not one song played, I felt offended. Not one.
Okay.
For 2 hours listening, not one song that made me cringe, not one. On urban radio, as soon as I put it on, it's like, what? It ain't nothing to cut that beat off. Like, whoa, like, are you kidding me? He Monica Lewinsky on my blouse. What? Are you kidding me? Like, yo, I don't want to hear that. Don't give me audio pornography. You know what I mean? Because now I got to put a picture to that. You know?
Do you feel responsible? Why do you feel responsible?
Well, as a creator, I feel responsible. As a father, I feel responsible. As a leader in the community, I feel responsible. As just even saying, as a man, I feel responsible. Like this is just not, it's not commended on any end.
Okay. For those who don't know, you started a petition on change.org.
Right.
Which started a following of other people who also feel the same way about radio and music that you do, and what's being played on the radio. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, what we did was, after listening to the music, and literally one Sunday morning, God woke me up and said, this is what you have to do. And I was like, okay. So I started putting this whole idea together that was given to me, Rage Against the Ratchet. We need to rage against this ratchet music.
For those that do not know, you started a petition on change.org, which started a following of other people who feel the same way as you do about radio and what's being played on the radio. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, one Sunday morning, woke up and it was like, God, give me a word. You need to do this.
Okay.
And you know, at first you would think, man, this might affect my finances. Because I'm in the business and we make our money through radio. But it was like, you know what? If that's what has to be done, that's what I'm doing. So I started putting together this whole movement called Rage Against the Ratchet. And it's funny because ratchet actually comes from the word wretched, but you know, somebody must have mispronounced it and called it ratchet, and now we have ratchet music. But the whole idea of it was that it was just that. It stemmed from that idea. And then one day I was in a salon in Philly and I saw a little girl singing Beyonce's Drunk in Love. And she was she couldn't have been older than 4. Knew all of the lyrics. But she was in her own little sexy way singing. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like, that message is now stamped in the mind of that kid. She's never going to forget that. That's going to be in her mind. So being drunk and making love to somebody in the kitchen and don't know why you're there, who you with, is going to be an idea that may be even cool.
Okay.
You know?
Do you think people are going to associate the fact that your new direction, and when I say new direction, I mean you're a Christian, also a reverend at Southern Baptist Church in Philadelphia? Do you feel as though they're going to say that that's the reason why you're going in this direction?
No, what I love the most is that if people check my discography, they'll find that there's not a record that I've ever written that's derogatory. Never wanted to. When I started, that was one of the things I was never going to do. Believe it or not, the song Love came from Music said he wanted to write a song about sex. And I was like, dude, you're not sexy. We're not going to do a song about sex. We're not doing that. We'll write a song about love. And then we wrote Love. So I you know, this is not a new direction. I've always had these morals. Even when I was a nasty little boy, and even when I was banging hip hop all day long, I still had those moral standards of that's not what we're gonna do. And even as a kid, I fought for the kids who couldn't fight. So every bully that was in my school, I fought the bully, and I made sure I beat the bully. So because I figured if I'm the bully, then there is no bully. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this protest against radio is not directed towards artist creativity?
No, not at all. I mean, I love creativity. I love artists who create. And mind you, we all have those dark moments that we need to say what we need to say. And then we all have those bright moments that we need to say what we need to say. So it's like, create what you want to create. Be creative. That's what we do. We're creative, but it's not for public radio, for public consumption. It's not good.
All right. What are your hopes for the outcome of tomorrow's protests, and what would it take for you to end it?
My hopes is that we create awareness. I want our people, I want our community to be aware, because the shock factor has gone away. So we're numb to anything. If we see a dead body on the ground, people will be like, oh, look at that dead body. Wow, is he 16? You know, look, he got shot and stuff. Like, no one's shocked anymore. Like, no one's like, oh my God, call an ambulance. They like pop out the video camera and they videotaping it. World star, look at this, hey man. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like we've lost all touch with feeling and emotion. And I think once you become numb, then anything is okay. So shock value after shock value, so no one's shocked anymore. So when you say things that are very shocking and disrespectful, it's like, oh, that's normal. No, we gotta change the norm. That's not normal.
Why not just stay gospel? Why go secular at all?
Well, let's put it this way. Before I got saved and I was in the church, I could care less what the church was talking about. I felt like it was a bunch of holy rollers, and if a preacher came to talk to me, dude, I don't really want to hear what you got to say. So the church people are getting the message already. We don't need church people to get it, even though some of them need the message, because some of them just church folk. But Christians, we don't need true Christians to get the message. We need children to get the message. We need, and again, it's not a spiritual thing. This is a moral thing. It's beyond, like, of course, nothing is beyond God, but we're not trying to get you to be saved, and we're not trying to get you to turn Christian. We're just trying to say, are you a human being? Do you understand that what you're saying is wrong? Do you understand that what you're doing is improper? And that's pretty much it.
Okay. Would you be open for discussion with most of these artists that are played on the stations that feel differently than you?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I welcome all of that. We can sit down, we can have a powwow. I come from the same place. It's not like I came from Beverly Hills and my pop is like the president or something. No. I came from the slums. I didn't know my dad till I was 12 years old. My mom raised us, 4 of us by herself. And literally my older brother was like the daddy for a while. So, you know, we had food stamps, we had government cheese, we had powdered milk. You know, I come from that same place, hustling on 8th and Indiana, you know, gun toting. I was all of that and then that, you know. So we can sit down and talk, let's share, let's break bread, and let's see what's sensible.
Do you think that there's a difference in, we spoke about this, you can edit that out. You mentioned some things about yourself a couple of months ago in a video where you described yourself as a person beyond your years, even as a child. Can you explain that?
Well, that's based off of when I was 6 years old and I could listen to a record like Me and Mrs. Jones and get the whole understanding of what's being said. Not that they were glorifying the fact that they were cheating, but this man was actually hurt. It's like, yo, I love her, but like I know this is not right. You know what I mean? There was a form of being sensible and actually understanding that what I'm doing is not right. So as a kid, I could hear that in the music. When I heard Wake Up Everybody, No More Sleeping in Bed, like it made me feel a certain kind of way. So music wasn't just music. So I can say I was beyond my years because I never looked at things like kids looked at it. Yeah.
Who are some of the supporters that has been behind you at the beginning of this protest, and who do you feel will be there tomorrow?
I have a lot of people in the business that are behind me, but choose not to be. You know, they don't want to be outed. You know, I don't know, they in the closet or something, but they don't want to be outed out of the closet. But you know, the truth of the matter is that. My reach and my call was just to citizens. It's just people. I want people who care to come out. So it don't matter what your status is. I really didn't reach out to any celebrities. I reached out to some black organizations that's supposed to be really supporters and got the coldest shoulder ever. Yeah, ain't that funny? But what's really funny, what I thought was hilarious is that when I saw flyers of things that they're doing, it's like, oh, you're sponsored by Clear Channel. You can't fight for us, you're being paid for it. Ain't that deep? So, which led me to not reach out to certain people who I believe were paid for. And you know what? I don't want to talk to them anyway. They've been around. And they've been here long enough. They are part of the problem because if you've seen it and you've heard it and you still choose not to do anything, especially if you're in a position to protect us and you're choosing to go, well, I'm going to turn a blind eye as long as I'm getting this check. I don't need to talk to you anyway. I need people who care about the children rights are being infringed on. So that's why I called out to citizens, mothers, fathers, children, leaders in church, leaders in the mosque, Jewish leaders, anybody in the community that's a leader who feel like we need to fix this problem. Because it's a black issue now, but trust me, when you look at the crowd of hip hop, the audience is white. So whatever we're doing is going to spread. It's a cancer. You started here, it's going to go everywhere and kill everybody. So how about we find a cure for it so everybody can be okay?
All right.
Yeah.
You're a producer, a reverend, and you're doing the protests. What's after that?
Well, we're doing a protest here. If no change is happening, we're going to the next radio station here. We're going to hit every single radio station here. We also are going to Chicago. We're going to Florida. We're going to North Carolina. We're going to Georgia. And it's a national thing. Like these, when you look at that urban chart, that's the chart for the nation. So the top 10 records in the urban charts are the most derogatory records other than Happy, which is crazy to me. So we don't even have balance. So this is a move that's going everywhere. And we have a lot of phases that we're about to go through, because we're going to start with music and radio, then we're going to go to record labels, and then we'll have a sit down with artists to see if they really feel good about what they're talking about. You know, are they making their mama and daddy proud with the music they're talking about? You know?
Yes. I appreciate you doing this interview. Thank you for your time. It's been wonderful talking to you, and I hope everything works out well tomorrow for the protest. Thank you, Carlton Haggins.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.